listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And we're here Monday through Friday on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, and, of course, throughout Europe on Radio X. My email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And you can find out what we've done in the past, what we're doing presently, and what we're doing in the future here in the X-Zone on the X-Zone Radio Show at www.xzoneradio.com. Hey, X-Zone Nation, as I was saying in the first segment tonight, we're very excited that we're going to be launching the X-Zone channel. It's a TV channel that we're going to be broadcasting 7/24, 365 paranormal TV, parapsychology TV, psychology, New Age, ancient mysteries, and every other topic that we discuss here in the X-Zone. And we'll have all the information available for you in the next couple of days at xzonechannel.com. Ray Songtree is my guest this hour. He is an author, Hawaiian resident, and father who brings together environmental, cultural, political, and economic history. He believes the country is bankrupt and controversial and worthy of our consideration. But he also says so is China and Europe. And the media is just spin. Now, are we victims or not? Ray connects the dots and, well, you know what? He's going to connect the dots that you, the X-Zone Nation, according to the publicist, we didn't know. True history is stranger than fiction, and you and I know that for a fact, X-Zone Nation. So joining me now is Ray Songtree. And Ray, welcome to the X-Zone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So tell me, Ray, what is the truth?
Oh, that's a great question, Rob. The truth might be called an agreement on perception, where you and I agree on something and call it the truth.
Right.
Or that's called relative truth. Or it could be our experience, which is on it, it's absolute truth. It's what we experience, and no one can say anything about it.
So do you really think the media is to blame for the spinning of the yarns that are affecting so many people?
The media is just one arm of something bigger.
Like what?
So the media is nowadays a social engineering arm. It's not. That's what we have to understand, and you know that it's all owned. It was in 1915. J.P. Morgan bought up.
Well, wait a sec. You see, you said I know, and no, I don't know that because here in our company we don't spin the truth. We expose lies. We expose hoaxes. And we use the media to get information out to the listeners around the world. So, we're not owned by any major company. We're self-owned, and our moral values and our integrity is in everything we do. So I wouldn't know that.
Well, you're the hope for everybody is alternative media.
We're not alternative either. We're mainstream media.
Okay. Well, mainstream, some people would say, is the top big 5 networks who are all owned and agree with each other almost every day what they're going to say.
How do you know this? How do you know? I not that they're owned by the bigger companies, but how do you know they agree on everything that they're going to say each and every day?
Okay, I am very sorry. I can't pinpoint right now that source, but they have a meeting every morning, and there's certain things that are discussed. And I'm very sorry I can't give you a footnote on that, so we'll pass on that. But
well, wait a sec. We've got to take a break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes here. Exonation. My guest this hour is Ray Songtree. Now, if you'd like to find out more about Ray, all you have to do is go to your local favorite website search engine. I love Google. And just type in Ray Songtree Books. And you'll be able to find out all about Ray as well as how to contact him. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Wilda Wieka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we will weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Wilda Wieka, and the Science of Magic right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Star began to demonstrate a metaphysical connection to the spirit world as a little girl. Her family noticed the connection, but it was a great-grandmother who told the family that Linnea was indeed gifted. The great-grandmother, who was also gifted, felt that Linnea had indeed inherited these attributes. It has been noticed that oftentimes such things are passed down through the generations. Linnea was also born with a caul, a thin white membrane across a newborn's face. Legend has it that if the baby is born with this caul, the child will have second sight, or what we call psychic abilities. Linnea Star does past, present, and future, and has the gift of prophecy. It is written within scriptures that if you are able to give factual information, and prophecies indeed come true, the gift indeed comes from the divine realm. Linnea Star does large interactive groups as well as private gatherings. For more information on Linnea Star or to contact Linnea for a one-on-one consultation, visit her website at www.linneastar.com. That's www.linneastar.com. Welcome back, Exo Nation. Ray Songtree is our guest, and Ray, would you say that if the media knew something that they would not share with the listeners, that would be, in your opinion, wrong?
Yeah, good question. I think that we no longer have a fourth. We don't have a fourth branch that's now the free press.
No, that was just a yes or a no answer. Yes or no?
Yes, it's wrong.
Okay, so before we went to the commercial break, you were telling us about these 5 networks that have meetings in the morning to discuss the day's news. And you said, well, I can't get into this right now, so let's change topic. So you want me to do something that you yourself said is wrong.
What I'm saying is this is a report that I read that I can't pull up right now in my mind to give you the reference.
Okay.
But we can look at other evidence to know that that's true.
Okay, let's do that. Because I've been in broadcasting more years than at times I want to remember. And I've worked for major networks. I've worked for major affiliates before I went on my own. And I can tell you for a fact that we would never contact another network and decide what we were going to do or not going to do. I find that appalling, if true, that these networks are actually manipulating the public this way.
Are we on air now?
We've been on air since we talked. So, yeah, of course we're on air.
Very good, very good. If we want to look at this from empirically, we can look at what news is covered at any time, and we'll see the same stories being covered simultaneously.
Well, of course, if it don't bleed, it don't lead.
And it's usually the same spin. So for instance, we could take, let's say, the coverage of the Gulf of Tonkin incident, or the coverage of the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, or the coverage of Libya, or the coverage of Syria, and we're not seeing the same information coming from really independent sources. So for me, that shows me that the networks are in cahoots with each other not to share what the alternative people are finding. That's how. Well, how else can we look at
the alternative people? How would you describe them, and what kind of credibility do they have?
They report facts that. I think they have more credibility. A wonderful Canadian website is globalresearch.ca, and the research there is almost spot on and he collects a lot of good research. So he'll get the report from the underdog about what's going on in a country, and it'll very much contradict everything else we've heard.
So who would the public rather listen to? A website that gets its information from, your words, the underdog, or credible networks who use professional journalism and journalists to acquire the news?
Okay, professional means they're basically bought off, and
No.
Wait, let me say, this is opinions. If they cover something they're not supposed to cover, they will be fired. So an example is on 9/11. Most network people will not talk about any of the controversies having to do with 9/11 because they're owned. All these people are owned. And so credible ends up being incredible.
All right, what controversies are you talking about here? Let's quantify what we're talking about so the listeners can follow us.
Okay. Let's say we could talk about, should we go forward or backwards? Let's say vaccines and autism.
Oh,
okay?
wait a sec. Whoa, what's that got to do with 9/11?
Okay, if we want to talk about 9/11.
Well, yeah, because once again,
that's fine.
You're
that's
the one
fine,
who
Rob.
was.
I thought you were just completely open there. That's fine. So 9/11. Do we hear any of the network news covering pilots for 9/11 Truth or architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth? We do not. They're blackballed, and these are more than 1,000 pilots who are saying what happened is impossible according to the official story. Then there's more than 1,500 architects and engineers who are saying what we've been told is not possible. And they have videos and they've covered it, but that's not touched. So we're seeing that it's blacklisted.
Is it blacklisted, or is there lack of research done on these conspiracy theorists? You know, like I've seen pilots for 9/11. I've seen their videos. I've seen the different meetings that the architects have gone to. But how can you dispute what your eyes actually saw? Thousands and thousands of people saw those two planes fly into the Twin Towers. Was this a mirage?
They saw planes.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of evidence that they were not passenger jets. They were other types of, they were military craft or something else. And there's evidence that the real passenger jets were actually loaded with intelligence agents and were taken to other airports. So that evidence is never brought up.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something before we go on. Have you ever spoken?
Conspiracy theorists.
No, wait a sec. Whoa. Hold on here. Have you ever spoken to a family member who lost one of the passengers aboard one of those aircraft?
I have not.
I have.
Okay.
I have. And I'll tell you something. They don't seem to me to be people who would be part of conspiracy. And we've had our people vet them very thoroughly.
They're not. Those people are victims.
All right,
They've lost their family member.
But you said that these aircraft landed somewhere else. The aircraft had intelligence operatives on board.
That's the evidence. And
whoa. What about the people? What about the people who lost their family members on board those aircraft? Whether it was into the Twin Towers, or the plane that crashed in Shanksville, or what about the plane that went into?
Never seen again. They are either in a dungeon somewhere or they're dead. That's what we know.
Whoa.
They were never heard of again. We also know the flight manifests don't show any of the hijackers' names on them. We also know 7 of the hijackers are still alive. So the story, every single facet of the story, it has been investigated and shown to be false.
You said
every single bit of it.
You said we know. Who are the we that you're talking about?
I would say it would be the community of people who have investigated it using the internet, not using network news.
So what you're doing is so these people who investigate things off the internet, which I consider to be the biggest crap tank that mankind has ever created, or the largest septic tank, because there's more crap in it than there is truth. So you've got a bunch of armchair quarterbacks who have nothing better to do, who have nothing better to do with their time than to think of all these theories without taking the lives of the people who are actually affected. The parents, the family, the relatives of the people who lost members of their family on board those flights those days.
I don't feel that's true. I think there's a tremendous amount of grief and compassion, but I don't go for this conspiracy theory idea.
Okay.
It's not that. It's investigation and using only evidence. And the people that I don't try to theorize. I look at the evidence of what exists, and I'm like a prosecuting attorney that's not a conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
They are trying to find out what the evidence is.
All right, let me ask you this. What is your expertise, and what qualifies you to investigate evidence and come up to the conclusions that you've come up with?
First of all, I don't consider myself an expert. I'm a student. I hope to always be learning and always be gaining more information. So I don't claim to be some authority.
But you said you're like you said that you were like a prosecuting attorney. Your words, not mine.
I said not. Well, I didn't say. I said it is like a prosecuting attorney to look at evidence, and it's not a conspiracy theory. The prosecuting attorney is looking. And so all these people on the internet, thousands of people have looked, and they've compiled everything, and the patterns show. So when you see videos of firemen saying, we heard bombs, we saw bombs, I was injured by bombs, and the official story says there was no bombs, then what do you like you said, I believe my own eyes and my own ears. Here's the people saying, this is what happened, and here's the official report denying it, which, by the way, was first going to be headed by Henry Kissinger, and Henry Kissinger dropped out when the families of 9/11 called him on the fact that he had relationships with the bin Laden family, and he turned white and dropped out. So it is, all the evidence is that there's a giant cover-up. There's no other evidence, actually.
Well, yeah, there is. It's called a terrorist attack. It's called more than 3,000 people dying at the hands of a terrorist group.
The 7 people are still alive. 7 hijackers are still alive. None of the hijackers' names are on the manifest. So all the evidence is that it was and also there's other governments involved, like Israel. And so that's what the evidence is. But if you don't want to look at the evidence, you'll believe the official story and blame it on people who never did anything. So Osama bin Laden died in December 2001. He did not die in Pakistan like we were told. And most of the people involved with that raid were killed in a helicopter
All right, we've got to take our news break. Please stand by. Exonation. Ray Songtree is our guest this hour. To find out more about Ray, just go on to the search engine of your choice and type in Ray Songtree Books. It's that simple. We'll be back on the other side of this news break. Don't go away.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Thomas Jefferson was a Burgess of 27 when he met Martha Wales Skelton, a 22-year-old widowed heiress who was fondly called Patty by her family. They were married on January the 1st, 1772, and they took up residence in a cabin on the building site on top of a Virginia mountain that Thomas had named Monticello. As Thomas and Patty slowly built their first version of the great house at Monticello, the Revolutionary War was heating up. Patty, with difficulty, bore 5 children, but only 2 girls survived. Thomas's political career developed to the point where he was often away from home, but after he authored and signed the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, he resolved never again to leave his wife. He was elected the governor of Virginia, just as that state became the Revolution's last battleground. The Revolutionary War ended in 1781, and Thomas gladly retired altogether to my family, my farm, and my books. But Patty continued to want to bear her treasured husband a son, and late in the summer of 1782, she died of kidney failure at the age of 33, 4 months after having borne yet another girl. Thomas was so devastated by her death that he never remarried. He mourned her for the rest of his life, even as he helped to frame the peace in France and then became the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and the third President of the United States. This story is true. Thomas Jefferson was such an obsessive letter writer and record keeper that we know where he was and what he was doing nearly every day of his adult life. Every significant thing he says in My Thomas comes from his contemporary writings. My Thomas by Roberta Grimes is now available at Barnes & Noble, Costco, Target, Books A Million, Hudson Booksellers, Kmart, Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, CVS, and online at Amazon.com. You can visit Roberta Grimes online at www.robertagrimes.com.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Unwilling to be the government's deadly assassin, gifted psychic Kahara Mitchell went AWOL and ended up buried under rubble in the wake of a great tsunami. She regained consciousness far from Earth on the medical ship of a Daguerrean intergalactic fleet. Has she been rescued or abducted by aliens? The Chalice of Carrie, Kahira O'Donnell's latest paranormal science fiction romance, is the passionate story of an Earth woman and her destined mates, twin kings from another galaxy. Kahara uses her gifts fighting alongside Lords Rom and Ra in a war that will determine the destiny of galaxies. The Chalice of Carrie by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or at Amazon.com. You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Annie Callahan, dedicated to negotiating a position for Earth within the Daguerrean Coalition, had trained for 3 years to become an Earth ambassador. Yet, the very eve of her arrival at the capital ruling planet, she is claimed as destined mate to an oversized, mating-maddened vamp who swears he will never release her. Lord Aztaran, king of the Macian sector, has waited over 900 years for his destined mate. Having found her as an alpha vamp, he is unable to relinquish Annie, virtually holding her hostage until he can claim her. Yet Macians cannot survive without their mate's love. How could he strip her of her citizenship, her ambassadorship, and her freedom and expect to win her heart? With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is the latest book in this exciting series, The Daguerrean Chronicles, guaranteed to keep readers coming back for more. With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is available on Amazon.com and KahiraO'Donnell.com. Ray Songtree is our guest. To find out more about Ray, just go to any website search engine and type in Ray Songtree books. Ray, how do you know, or where does the information come from that bin Laden was taken out in December of 2001?
Well, he wasn't okay, I'm just going to correct a few words you said. He wasn't taken out. He had a kidney problem, and he was even on dialysis.
Okay.
And he he passed away. I don't know if he was taken out.
Oh,
Maybe
all right. So he died in December of 2001.
There was a again. I don't have this as encyclopedic knowledge, but there's a Pakistani leader, I think a prime minister or president, talked about it, and there was some other information, and that he was seen in a hospital in Saudi Arabia, and was visited supposedly by CIA because he was a CIA asset. I mean, that's what he was. He was a Hajin, however you say that.
Right.
So he was visited there, and then it's very obvious that all the videos of him are not him. If you've ever studied that they're not him. If you look closely, they're not him. And so the videos were fake, and the whole idea of one of the hijackers, Atta, supposedly every plumbing fixture in the Twin Towers was evaporated by some kind of exotic weapon. That's true. But his passport ends up on the street and a policeman finds it. It's all planted evidence to convince us of something, and people who don't investigate it, like me, at the time, I just went along with it.
But Ray, the only investigation that you've done is on the internet.
Well, the internet is all doctors get their information from the internet.
But the doctors also go to medical school for 8 years to learn how to become a doctor. They just don't sit in front of a computer screen.
That's all they do now.
No, sir. And I know this for a fact because my wife is a nurse. My best friends are doctors. Their children are going to university for 8 years.
Right. But afterwards, they depend on all of their information, and while they're in school, on the internet. So to put down the internet is actually going to save, the one thing that might save us is that we all can communicate now and exchange information and have a way of viewing what's going on. So I'm kind of surprised you're kind of blanketing putting down the internet when that is the source of
misinformation and disinformation. You're right.
There's no question there's that. Not only ignorance, but intentional disinformation. And so one has to be very careful. You can't believe everything you see, but
you're right.
If you see videos of molten metal coming out of the corner of the Twin Towers, then you say, okay, that is not from an airplane. There's something else going on in this story.
Ray,
and when you see all the people claiming there's and videos where you can hear the explosions.
Ray, we have our own video production facilities here.
Okay.
I can turn the Twin Towers into 2 ice cream cones in seconds and have them spurt fireworks out and then have planes exiting them. That's easy to do. The digital age has ushered in the age of
Rob, there's no history of the United States government. I can't speak for Canada, but there's no history of the United States government telling the truth on almost anything, especially wars or anything having to do with the CIA's involvement in war.
Let me ask you a very simple question. Why would the United States lie and perpetrate such a malice, such a crime against its citizens on September the 11th, 2001?
There were several objectives. One was to create an enemy for more war, because there's an interest in... Now we're getting into the big picture, so we'll go there. The big picture is, if you look at the history of the bankers and their control since basically Waterloo in 1814, and their control of England, and then finally they're getting the Federal Reserve in the United States, and you see everything they did with all of their vast, vast money, what you see is they are trying to control basically everything. And one of their methods is to destabilize a population and rebuild it their way. Then they'll do it again and again and again. So we find out that it was the Rockefellers, I call them Rockefellers, the Rothschilds in England, and the English who were behind the French Revolution. Okay, and it keeps going from there. So this is the history that I never got in the history books, but I have researched it, and I now present it now in my writing to offer people an accurate history of who has controlled basically not just wars and the economy, but also controlled our perception of how we view things. For instance, network news. Okay, you can say blanket the internet is disinformation. Please, every doctor you know is using the internet for information after they get out of school, and what they learn in school is how to use the internet. So we have to learn too, and we're learning. So
yes,
go ahead.
But the doctor knows what he's looking at when he looks at the internet, when he sees an MRI scan, when he sees an X-ray, when he sees a CAT scan, when he sees the results of blood work, when he gets an email from another physician who is an expert in another field who he has asked to check on this client. He can then see what pharmaceuticals or prescriptions are going to have an adverse or a positive, with his patient. I agree. But we're talking about people who wouldn't know the front end of an investigation to the back end of an investigation, who have had no experience whatsoever as a forensic investigator, a law enforcement investigator.
Well, I don't pay attention to those people.
Why
look
not?
to the people who are offering evidence, and the evidence has to be solid.
All right.
Otherwise,
So what is the evidence? What is the evidence that you consider to be solid?
Let's start with, was there explosions or not at the Twin Towers and at this Building 7, WTC 7, that fell in the afternoon? Was there explosions or not? Now, the National Institute of Science and Technology says there was not.
Okay.
But all these other people say, hold on, I was there. I saw it. Here's a video of it. Here's what it sounded like. And it's ignored. So that is real evidence to me.
But once again, you did not conduct any physical research yourself. The only research that you've done, and please correct me if I'm wrong, was based on the research other people allegedly did. And you're using their findings.
I'm just like a doctor who depends on the research of other doctors. That's what I have to do. And other people will depend on me when I show them all footnotes in all my books are all very well referenced, and they can check it themselves. So I'm a little bit not understanding where you're coming from. Are you coming from the idea that the official story is the only truth and it's always true?
I'm coming from the side where I would rather see evidence. And like I said, I've talked to the people who lost family members on board those planes.
Yes.
This is what I consider to be research, is talking to the people involved, not coming up with a theory based on information that I read on the internet.
Well, you're the dear people who you talk to who are begrieved, and that's terrible what happened. They have been lied to, and the families of 9/11. The families of 9/11 have tried again and again to ask questions and get answers, and they've been denied and denied and denied. And a lot of their testimony has been omitted from the official report. So what do you make of that?
Well, for one thing, I don't know that for a fact.
Okay. I could send you some names, and you can see their testimony.
But
and you can.
All right, that. Please do. However,
I will.
So what are you saying that happened to these people that were on board the plane? That they're being held somewhere against their will by the government so that the perpetration of this
I don't think so.
Well, what do you think happened to them?
They're dead.
So are you saying that the United States government also killed the passengers on board these airlines?
After killing 3,000 people, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I am saying that.
So tell me, what country do you live in?
I live in the United States.
So why do you live in the United States when you don't trust your government?
I live where I was born, and I don't trust the government, and I'm a whistleblower trying to get the government to be more honest.
Okay, tell me, have you ever run for public office?
I have not.
Why not?
That's not my choice. I'm trying to do something else. I'm trying to be an author.
Well, why don't you just go out and actually try and make a change where it can count? Running for Congress, running for Senate.
I don't believe Congress is capable of helping, actually.
Why?
Congress is, at this point, controlled. You get elected if you're funded and if you're sponsored. And if you're not, you don't even hear about a lot of the people running for president because they're never mentioned. But there's more people than we're told running for president.
So what about for the people,
funded,
by the people? What about the Declaration of Independence?
What about it?
Well,
What do you want to know?
Well, what do I want to know? It's very simple. Whatever happened to it? Where did America sell itself out? If it didn't, I don't think it did, but, you know.
It's being sold out incrementally, step by step. One of the objectives you asked was for 9/11 was the Patriot Act, which was written before 9/11, and the Patriot Act is what there is behind everything. And you could follow the money. It goes back to the central bankers and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, who want to control everything. And one of their arms is the Bilderberg Group. One of their arms is the Council of Foreign Relationships.
All right, so you're also talking about the New World Order.
It is the New World Order.
Aha. Total conspiracy theorist.
No, it's not a theory. There's books written about it.
All right, so would you deny the fact that you are not, in fact, a conspiracy theorist?
Not at all. The New World Order is a historical fact.
No, I'm talking about you.
No, I'm not a theorist. Rob, I'm not a theorist. I'm a student. I want to know the truth, just like you. I want to know what's really going on, and I want to see.
You're not like me. You're not like me. You're not like me because I talk to the people who were involved. You've only read.
No, you've talked to the victims' families.
And I've also talked to members of the military. I've talked to the air traffic controllers. I've talked to firemen. I've talked, like we've done massive shows on 9/11.
Okay.
You know, so this isn't second-hand information or third-hand information that I've been able to be privy to. This is first-hand. Firefighters that were at 9/11, police officers.
Have you interviewed anyone from pilots for 9/11 Truth or architects for 9/11 Truth?
No.
That would be great if you could, because these people have done a tremendous amount of research.
If they've done a lot of research and taking nothing away from them, how come there's been no change over the years? How come?
Because the powers that be don't want to keep a lid on all this because they're continuing the lies.
But you see, that's why I asked you, why don't you run for public office where you could actually get your voice heard out there instead of selling books?
I feel the public opinion is going to be more important than the puppets who end up being funded and promoted.
But it is the public opinion that puts the people into power.
No, it's the media who spins the different candidates this way and that, who control who the people think they should like. So if they want to spin, let's say, Al Gore and George Bush, or Obama and McCain,
right?
Or they will spin it how they spin it. What they're looking for, most of these candidates are, two sides of the same coin. What they want is a 50-50 vote. And that's what they work for. So they want to divide and conquer everything. They're very terrified. It's very interesting now what's going on, because true alternatives to the establishment are becoming popular. So, Sanders and Trump are very much alternative.
Sure they are.
They don't fit in at all, but they're supported because people are tired of the corrupt establishment.
Well, when you look at the mathematics behind it, Sanders doesn't stand a chance. He's tried, but he doesn't stand a chance. Trump, on the other hand, does.
Still the people are trying to control who is elected and how the politics go have a problem now because the general populace is tired of it. And so, corruption, the pile of lies is getting so high, everyone's starting to smell it now.
Yeah.
Right now, my focus is on reaching people because I feel at the grassroots level, that's what it counts. What counts really is how we take care of our own families, our own children, our grandchildren, because the medical community is saying certain things are safe, but if you study it, they're not. And the school curriculums are being warped this way and that. So as parents and grandparents, I feel that's who I'm looking to reach, is parents and grandparents, so that we can, kind of bring health back as a goal. And I don't think health is a goal right now. It's not. It's something else.
All right, stand by. We've got to take our final break for this segment. Exo Nation, Ray Songtree is our guest. Just Google his name on any search engine.
Yep.
I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. But do me a favor, Exo Nation. Send me an email. Do you agree with Ray or disagree? Send me an email, exxon@exxonradiotv.com. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement. These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston. From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com. And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Our guest this hour is Ray Songtree. Just, Google his name or use any other search engine, and you'll find all about Ray. Ray, I'm having a real hard time, and I have had a hard time since September the 11th, 2001. And it angers me to hear people think that, what was it? 2,753 people in the city of New York lost their lives at the hands of the government. Let's see, there were 343 firefighters killed, 23 firemen, 37 Port Authority people. There were 128 people.
For the people who organized this, they don't care. These people they don't care about who they kill. I mean, it goes, Rob, it's so insidious, it's unbelievable. Adolf Hitler ends up being the grandson, the illegitimate grandson of Solomon Rothschild in Vienna, who was a Jew. I mean, so Adolf Hitler was 1/4 Jewish. They don't care who they kill. They don't care. These people are rather insane, is the best way to say it. And the proof is how much destruction is being allowed without being talked about. We don't hear any of the candidates mentioning that, there's less pure water than there ever was. Most water is polluted now. The soil is washing away. The air is worse. And we don't hear this talked about. This is what I was getting to in the thing I wrote for you, is that we need to put health as a goal, not anything else. And so...
But don't you think you might be able to accomplish this if you were to run for an office where you could actually make a difference?
I think what I feel, Rob, for myself personally, at this point in my life, I'm 63 years old,
right?
Is that my best thing is, it's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to reach people by education, to be an educator.
All right, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry, Craig, I can't take any more of this. Do me a favor. Get rid of him. Okay, here we have an armchair quarterback sitting back there, writing books instead of getting out in front of people and trying to make a real difference. God, where do these people come from? Oh, wait a minute. It's on the internet. It has to be true. There's a lot of stuff about Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny on the internet. Is it true? I guess it all depends on who you are. Heck, I believe in Santa Claus a couple of times a year. Don't you, Craig? Everything's a conspiracy to these people. UFOs, Bigfoot, 9/11, Pearl Harbor, the assassination of JFK. Come on, get a life for God's sake. And you know what? If you don't like America and you really think that there's all this behind the scene, black power, black ops, conspiracies, New World Order going on, why don't you just get the hell out of it and find something else to do with your time? I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. That's just my take. Oh, wait a minute. I'm part of the mainstream media, so that's the way I would think. Good thing he didn't know I'm an ex-cop, eh? We'll be back. Don't go away.